On this episode, we talk about New Day's eventual heel turn, AJ Lee's retirement, John Cena as the US champion, and on Chris Jericho's podcast, and tons more now on Byte That. Welcome everybody, you are listening to episode 85 of Byte That, the somewhat maybe international professional wrestling podcast where we talk about the ups and downs of that which we love, which is Istanbul, of course. Thank you for listening and checking out the show. Remember, we are available every single Tuesday night. You can check us out. We can be part of your road life. You know, you're driving to work, you're sitting in the bathroom. You can download us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, ByteThat.com, and of course, for everything else, including the podcast, YouTube.com/ByteThatCast. My name is Juan Velez. I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and we're still feeling the WrestleMania jet lag, the tiresome. So, of course, I'm joined first all the way from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Keith Poshik, people.
You know, Juan, I was always more of a Coach Z guy. I think that was the character. He's the best.
Oh, really? Well, you know, I still love you for who you are. And the other guy from Boston, Massachusetts, who almost didn't make it. It seems like the guy with the lowest attendance, lowest absence in the podcast has the highest risk rate. Mr. Ryan McNulty.
Yes, I had a little bit of a fender bender today. Very minor ding to my bumper.
Are you okay?
But in the words of Gene Snitsky, it wasn't my fault.
And I am somewhat insulted by your words, sir, because I think just for me showing up, I am a risk factor. I am the risk factor of this podcast, damn it.
It's okay, Keith, you know, because you need to edit the show, so at some point you need to be integrated into it. So that's part of the process. But yeah, we are here to talk about wrestling. A lot of cool stuff to talk about WrestleMania. Obviously, we got to talk about a subject that's very near and dear to Mr. McNulty, who has done multiple reports on this person, as I bring up as a sort of an inside joke, which is regarding AJ Lee. Now, AJ Lee has been, I won't say a pioneer, but some wrestlers have stated her as a pioneer. She's been the larger focus of the Divas division in quite some time. Of course, she delivered her own version of the pipe bomb, if you will, about a year ago. But she's gone now. Apparently, AJ Lee, at the young age of less than 30, has retired from the WWE. This happened out of nowhere, JR style. We were just browsing, all of a sudden I see this on Facebook. I think it's some kind of April Fool's thing, because I believe it happened on April 2nd. So I was thinking maybe it was a...
So it didn't happen on April Fool's Day.
No, but I thought maybe it was like a social media oops, you know, like WWE posted it the day after and didn't realize or something. But then you go to the website, and it said that retired from in-ring competition, but as we see... based on Raw, she's gone. She is out and replaced by Naomi, apparently. So right now, I just want to get some reactions. First, when you saw the announcement, and then when Raw came on, and you saw that she was simply nowhere to be found.
You know, it was kind of sad, honestly, when I first found out that AJ Lee retired, because she was a pioneer of the women's division in the WWE. She was really one of the first people to break the diva mold in a long time. She wasn't just like this, ooh, hey, my hair's up, I'm gonna go do a couple moves divas. Like, she was more of a wrestler than a diva. And it was just kind of weird. It came completely out of nowhere, but at the same time, like, in retrospect, it kind of makes sense. Like, ever since she came back, she just kind of she almost felt like CM Punk post WrestleMania 29. Like, she was just there. There was not really a place for her. She was almost too big for the division.
Yeah, I definitely think I kind of got that vibe that she was coasting and wasn't really making nearly the same impact she was during, 2012, 2013. But no, it is sad to see her go, and I think she was a pioneer in a lot of ways. I think she was a big reason that the divas have shifted away from just being kind of supermodels transitioning into, or like bikini models, whatever, you know what I mean? Transitioning into a wrestler. She was definitely not the, prototypical diva type. So, she paved the way for someone like Paige.
Exactly, and she's somebody that started in NXT Season 3, at least by WWE standards, which was the Diva exclusive version of NXT. It wasn't exactly all that great. Kaitlyn had only been wrestling for like 3 months at that point and didn't even have her first match yet. AJ Lee had a little bit of an experience, but even then, she stood out from the pack. She was really different. But it's kind of funny how she had, as I mentioned, that pipe bomb where it was the whole controversy of, oh, is AJ Lee going to be in Total Divas? Is she not? Why? Then she cuts this amazing promo. Everybody's talking about it. Then the Paige thing happened a little while after. And it seemed like it was just like it went from the Divas to then Paige to then nothing and then retiring. So it's kind of interesting.
So, Juan,
Keith,
you brought up the point of AJ Lee being in Total Divas.
Yes, sir.
I believe me and you have some dirty laundry to clean up here.
Let's move on to what's the next topic. And
Wait,
Neville
hey, hold on. I do have another thing to say, but I definitely think a big reason why she left is the whole situation with CM Punk. I mean, it has to be very awkward to be kind of the middle person in the whole situation. You know, the company you work for is also the company that apparently, allegedly might have mistreated, you know, your husband. So it just obviously had to create a very frustrating dynamic for her to deal with. And also that, you know, after you've won a couple Divas championships, what is there to really do? She like was involved in main events. She was general manager and she won the Divas title a couple times. After that, you know, there's not a lot of places to go as a woman in WWE at the way things are now. So you really can't blame her. She kind of did it all.
And, you know, that's kind of the most heartbreaking, tragic part of this whole thing, that like with the whole CM Punk point. I haven't watched SmackDown, so I'm saying this without the gaze of SmackDown, but her last match was the Divas match where everybody chanted those rude, obscene things. Like, that's heartbreaking.
That's how you go out.
That's tragic. That's damn near tragic.
So as a last thing, I want to take this to the resident expert of the AJ Lee situation. Ryan, is she going to be pregnant?
I will say in the next 25 years, I think she will be. Bold prediction.
And because she's not on the roster anymore, she will never be on Total Divas, which means Juan must cosplay as AJ Lee at a WWE live event.
Well, if people can gather funds for me going to a live event, I will do that. Why am I saying this in a recorded show? But whatever, let's move on.
You shouldn't have lost a bet,
Look
kid.
at this kid e-begging to cosplay at a live event.
Yeah, I know. That's the devotion that I have to the listeners here. But, you know, let's talk about more things that aren't visually traumatizing, like the opening of Raw. So we see Neville. Got to get used to that. He was the challenger to Seth Rollins, who Seth Rollins came out, was talking some trash. He was going to have a match against somebody he didn't know. Lo and behold, last week, Neville debuts against Curtis Axel. Week after, takes on the champion himself. So what better way to showcase him? I just want to give my quick comments. I think that next week, he's probably going to become champion. And then in about a month, probably Hall of Fame. That's my thing so far. What do you guys think?
Neville, I mean, it's very promising that they just throw him in with the champion, you know, his second week on the job on the main roster. So it's very promising that they actually want to legitimately do something with him. Clearly, they know that this guy can go. He's got the ability. And I mean, I haven't seen many wrestlers who can just wow an audience as fast as he has. So hopefully they find something for him. I mean, you know, get him in a program for Extreme Rules, definitely.
But just from the matter of how much faith they showed that they have in Neville, that they put him in the ring with the champion in his second week, that's got to be some sort of debut record.
No, not just that, but JBL himself and the whole commentary team, including Saxton, who, poor guy, people were just building the crap out of him, you know, bringing up the fact that he's the longest reigning NXT champion and all this stuff. So it legitimized NXT. We got NXT chants. And I know that some people aren't fans or flippy-looking wrestlers, But the difference with Neville, he is so crisp. Like that outside dive he did to Rollins, the way he landed, it was like he was walking, you know? It's those little things that make him stand out. He doesn't need to talk because he pretty much didn't talk. And like honestly, his accent, at least to me on NXT, was actually a little hard to understand at times. So I think he should just be the type of guy.
What are you talking about, bull?
Poor guy. But was that a good impression? Send Keith a tweet. But yeah, overall, I got to say I'm pretty happy. And quick question. What do you guys think about Rollins as this champion? It's interesting because think about this. Rollins was the first NXT champion taken on the longest reigning NXT champion. And then he's the top of the food chain now. So it's kind of funny how the man that first held that championship is now sort of the bar and taking on this guy who's moving up.
Had they fought each other in NXT? I don't. That was before I started watching.
No, because at that point, Adrian Neville was with Oliver Gray. They were actually tag champs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it was still exactly. It was really awesome to kind of have that dynamic, kind of almost to show you how far NXT's come along. That you got this guy debuting, facing the world champ who happens to be the first NXT champ. So it's really awesome to see that happen.
It's really like one of the small steps of the eventual takeover, minus the pun, that we're going to see of the WWE roster. How these guys are going to start slowly trickling in and then hopefully just blowing it out of the water. So the future looks bright, Maggle.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think in like 15 years, everyone's going to have gone through NXT at this point, There won't be any more like veterans to pluck out and just drop right on the main roster.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because we don't really have too much time to talk about it this week, but Finn Balor in an interview stated that they don't see NXT as the stepping stone to the main show. A lot of guys on NXT see NXT as the main show. Economically speaking, that's probably not an accurate answer, but creatively speaking, I think that you have so much creative freedom. You can just see the balance. I think Neville's going to be the first test we see because he's been in all of the new NXT phase from day one, from when it was fully developmental to now where we have these top indie guys, which, by the way, we talk about this Thursday on our YouTube channel. But yeah, his result is going to really help pave the way for guys like Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, who's also rumored to be coming up. All these guys are rumored to be coming up. Of course, there's this Samoa Joe situation. People speculate, is he going to go up to the main roster first or NXT? Those are questions for another time, but the great thing is it keeps us intrigued. It keeps us guessing. Now, this thing happened on Raw, and I didn't think I was going to be as happy as I actually was. The New Day.
Sucks.
This has been something where for one-time appearance that I think 5 people remember, Xavier Woods came out super serious in a suit talking to Kofi and Big E, who were tag teaming. But 2 months later, they start the New Day and they start clapping like morons. I'm sorry, but it was ridiculous from day one. Everybody liked the 3 guys. They just hated the stable. People tweet to them and everything. But now on Raw, they were self-aware. This backstage segment, they had the 3 guys, and then Renee Young was just, what's that, Zellweger? I don't know why. But Renee Young was interviewing them, and then they weren't even teasing. You know what's happening. Especially Xavier Woods. I love one part where Big E was doing his thing, which I think was awesome, but Xavier was like pissed off, but then they sort of made him snap out of it, and it's like, oh, right, I gotta be the clap happy guy. So what do you guys think of that?
The thing that I've enjoyed about the New Day this whole time is they've been subtly teasing this turn for months now. Just nobody really sees it. Because, even the thing that I go back to in my mind all the time is this one line that Xavier Woods said, how he does his little spiel on the microphone? One week he's like, do you know why we keep smiling? Because if we don't, that's when the pain comes. Yeah. Stuff like that. So I like how subtle it is. And yeah.
I think a lot of people sense that this might have been the plan all along. Because, you can think about it and say, oh, if they just came out and were heels, how effective would they be? But if they came out as good guys that nobody liked and then slowly became heels, that is, I feel like, infinitely more effective. And now, thanks to the post-WrestleMania crowd giving them that New Day sucks with the clap, like, all the audiences are going to follow along with it. So they're immediately going to have like that kind of heat and interaction with the crowd going. So it's very promising. I really liked the promo. I like Big E's kind of weird announcery style, whatever he does. Like, it's very different. And they're just kind of like, they want to act happy just to make you mad.
And one thing I was really happy with was the fact that Kofi was the one to say, we either clap or snap. Because Kofi, how many times have we said, this guy is extremely talented in the ring. But at one point, how many people were watching? Kofi and Randy was the thing. It was a top feud at one point. But then fast forward to 2015, and that almost seems like an April Fool's joke. But I think that this is really an opportunity to get Big E over, who has never gotten over in the main roster. And this is a guy who took down John Cena at the main event of Raw. Xavier Woods has done nothing. He debuted in a backstage promo walking for his tag match with R-Truth. That is one of the worst ways to debut. So we're now actually getting three guys that desperately have a lot of talent, and they need this. So please, I just really hope it works. But odds are this is going to keep slowly happening. It could be kind of like PTP, so I don't want to overbuild this, but let's see what really comes out of this.
And speaking of great AJ Lee moments, when Big E debuted and then took out John Cena, and then AJ Lee's theme played, probably one of my favorite accidental moments on Raw.
And one time there was like a gif or gif of it, like Big E during his entrance accidentally like clothesline AJ Lee's neck.
Oh yeah,
but then she like no-sold it. AJ Lee's a freaking champ, man. But talking about somebody related to AJ Lee and the way that they kind of kissed at one point, so I guess it's related. Why not? John Cena.
Really, you took that, not the champ route, because that's the way easier route to go down.
It's too late to go back, man. But this John Cena thing, I know we'll talk about the the Chris Jericho podcast after this week's S.C.A.F. But S.C.A.F, just want to clarify. But talking about John Cena as U.S. champion, personally, I'm just going to summarize because I really want to get your feedback, starting with Ryan. I love this so much because everybody knows who John Cena is. Everybody knows that John Cena's been a multi-time champion, and this is how you do the same thing differently. And it's working, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah, at first when I saw Stardust was his opponent, I got a little nervous that he was just going to squash him and, be done. It would be, 2 minutes, Cena does the 5 moves of doom, done. But, they actually had an excellent match, and, they gave it time, and it was enjoyable. And this is the one thing I'll allude to from the Chris Jericho thing, because it's very relevant right now, is he said he wanted to put a spin on the U.S. title that was different, no pun intended, because of the spinner belt, but he wanted to have it. He wanted it to have its own identity, and I think this is going to be the identity of the U.S. title, which is every single week it's going to get defended.
It's awesome, but how long can it stay at this format? Like, eventually John Cena is going to run out of guys, right? Then what? Like, they can't just let's throw Dean Ambrose back into the rotation. So it's cool for now, but I don't think it has much sustainability.
I actually think it completely has sustainability because it's bringing it back to how wrestling was before. I mean, think about in the 80s. Even Hulk Hogan brought this up. Hulk Hogan, with the exception of John Cena wrestles almost every week. But a similarity is that Hulk Hogan never faced the same guy 80 times. He faced jobber number 1, jobber number 50, jobber number 87. And that's how Hulk Hogan was built up. And I'm not saying that, Stardust is a jobber. He's not. But sort of taking something from a Dana Bryan interview he had in Talks Jericho. Jericho's a common topic, I guess. But Dana Bryan said that one of the reasons he was happy he's not maybe in the main picture is because he gets an opportunity of wrestling way more guys and has an opportunity to put them over. And everybody knows John Cena. He doesn't need to put Randy Orton over. He needs to put guys like Stardust over, who maybe loses. But how many people probably go, oh, Stardust is a stupid character, it's Goldust clone. But by the end of the match, they can go, oh, this guy just went toe-to-toe with John Cena. Okay, I buy him. So I think that maybe it's something that I almost don't want John Cena to lose the championship. It sounds so weird for me to say it because I complain about things like that. But think about every week or every pay-per-view. We don't know who he's going to face. It's just like John Cena. He is the stepping stone. Take him out. And if you don't, there's going to be another guy and another guy. And then maybe a stipulation, maybe a triple threat. They can keep scaling it up for at least a year easily until next WrestleMania.
Let's put it this way is, sure, he's gonna like run a train through all these like, scrubs or whatever. He's gonna beat up a whole bunch of guys, most of them who probably would never even get a chance on TV in the first place most weeks. But so you're getting a variety of guys on TV, and then the guy who beats Cena is going to look like a superstar. Like an actual superstar, not the term that's always used. And I'm losing my voice.
Don't worry about it, man. It's the car crash. You're still recovering from it. But no, I agree because it's going to be unexpected. I think that the winner should be a random match on Raw. It should just be a random championship opportunity. And much like Stardust, people think, it's going to be a cool match, but Cena wins Raw. 1, 2, 3. There's a new champion.
But you don't see something like Rusev accepting this challenge and then it going back into Cena-Rusev happening?
Well, I mean, he has his rematch clause, so who knows? Maybe this lasts only until Extreme Rules. But I think that regardless of if it's John Cena or Rusev, this should be a trend. The problem is, Rusev already had something like this. He didn't really defend the championship that much. He just beat people up. But you need somebody established to really build another guy up. So I actually don't want Rusev to win. But at the same time, then, what do you do with Rusev? I don't know.
He can just move on, I guess. You could have him, I don't know, he goes for the title match, somebody else shows up, gets involved, and then all of a sudden Rusev's distracted with them and not Cena. So there's ways you can get him away from it without having to take another loss to Cena, but I think we all know it's going to happen.
Exactly. I think the best bet is simply to wait out until Extreme Rules and then get an idea. By the way, just a quick tidbit before I forget, for whatever reason, the network is free. I don't know if it's to all subscribers or US during April. I didn't even know about that until Raw. So that's like $50 maybe we've spent that other people haven't spent.
Well, no, see, this one made it sound like if you are already subscribed, you get this month free.
No. There's a specific thing for new subscribers. So, hey, we've been here since day one.
I'm so mad.
At this point, we've just
for it.
Given them like $30 extra.
Where's a free t-shirt
so
or
mad.
something? Now, something that I got to bring up. I know, Ryan, you were pretty upset about this and tweeted about it. We got a match on Raw that we were assuming, predicting it was going to happen at Extreme Rules. It happened with next to no build-up. It had a clean finish, and it left a pretty bad taste in my mouth. I'm talking about Miz versus Mizdow. I'm not so much upset as I am sad, but judging by Ryan's face, I want to take it to you first. What's your take on it?
This was like the most disappointing thing ever. This was probably, the longest feud going?
It's been like 6 to 8 months, man.
Yes.
If not longer.
And what do? You just do a throwaway match on Raw to a dead crowd. Oh, it was the worst. Like, we thought this was going to be a WrestleMania match. Like, a pretty well-built WrestleMania match. But then we're like, it goes to Extreme Rules and, it gets more of a focus. Oh, that's all fine and dandy. Is that still going to happen? Most likely. I don't know, maybe not after that crowd reaction, but I think it's still going to happen, and they'll probably put some stipulation to it. But why do you give it away first on free TV? We've not seen them like go face to face, toe to toe in a match since the whole Mizdow thing has happened. I don't know if they even ever had a singles match before. Not 100% sure on that.
See, I would even hesitate to call that a clean finish. Like, yeah, it was a 1, 2, 3, but it was like
you know what I mean. You don't
it was
just
a quick
give it away.
roll up.
Like,
but they've given away worse. I know that's not a good answer. But they've given away like Rollins
thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, they've done things like that. But this has been building up for over 6 to 7 months, and like a lot of things about some feuds is that punch. You're waiting for that first punch in that match.
Exactly.
And we already got that. So it's like, add a stipulation, but as Ryan mentioned, the crowd was already dead because they're like, oh, it happened with no build-up, so I don't care. So even if we get a flaming table ladder spot fight night on a pole match featuring Dandy, it's still not going to matter because we already got that first match, at least for me.
See, they let
Isn't
it kind of cool off a teeny bit, and then they just did the match out of nowhere, and that crowd, I think a lot of other crowds would have been a lot more into it. That did not do it justice. Even as poorly set up as their match was for this, I think that crowd was overly silent for that than most would be.
See, I strongly disagree with you guys on this one. To me, it just felt like Miz got the quick roll-up, got the quick win over Mizdow, just going to keep building up that anger, because now Miz is going to be like, oh, yeah, I beat you.
But you know what I mean? Like Juan said, part of it is that first time he kind of lashes out and attacks him. I mean, think about if they just did
But that happened
what if they just did
months
Triple
ago
H versus
at this point.
Batista, like, on a random Raw before WrestleMania 21. You know what I mean?
But you're comparing Triple H and Batista to the Miz
the
and
build
Mizdow.
was that damn good.
Exactly. It's a non-main event feud that we cared about, and they just did it. They got it over with.
I don't think they got it over with, though.
Fine.
They didn't completely, but
if there's no
appeal.
Extreme Rules match, I agree with you guys completely. But there's still probably going to be an Extreme Rules match. There's probably going to be a stipulation, and Mizdow is probably going to beat the crap out of Miz, and that's going to be the big finish. And everybody's going to be cheer and happy, and then that will be the end of it. This is just like the Miz got a quick one over on Mizdow.
They killed a lot of the anticipation.
Well, you know what? Let's wait until next week. I'm assuming we're gonna get some sort of follow up, commentary. I don't know, something. If we don't get anything next week, then I think we can really pick this up from where we left off. Hopefully, it'll happen at Extreme Rules. I don't know. I'm still not feeling it. So for those listening, I would actually love to get some feedback at Byte That Cast. Are you pissed it happened? Does it change your expectation if it happens at Extreme Rules or not? Let us know. Now, something else that happened that was a little odd on Raw. There were a couple of missing faces, and both literally and figuratively. So we had three guys that are prominently featured. We have Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, Dean Ambrose. These guys weren't really there. So it's kind of interesting how, we have a great show, but the leader of the Yes Movement, these guys are absent. Maybe they're on SmackDown. Once again, we don't know. I tried to not read the SmackDown spoilers. Yeah, exactly. But I try to not keep up too much with the spoilers. But the fact is, Raw is the live show.
On Raw they advertised that they would be on SmackDown.
Yeah, but I don't know what happened on SmackDown. They were advertised, but the conclusion. Somebody could be hitting the head.
Stop.
With it. Fine.
Stop.
Fine.
Stop. All right.
So they're missing. Did that bug you, or was that a good thing?
It bugged me because I feel like they're trying to make Daniel Bryan like the new Sheamus, like he is the leader of SmackDown. And I don't want to have to watch SmackDown.
So would Bryan be Friday Rollins at this point?
Well, Thursday Rollins.
Yes, Thursday Rollins.
Yeah, it's interesting. Personally, playing devil's advocate, as I wrote in the show notes, I actually like it because we're at a point, like, once again, they weren't on Raw, but it was a good Raw. Am I wrong? I mean, I always ask that at the beginning of the show. I didn't. Did you enjoy the overall show?
I thought it was good, but not great.
Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly, and there were three big faces that weren't there. And to me, at least, that's a reason why I like NXT, because we don't see the same people every week, because in their case, it's a 1 hour time frame. So they don't, have that opportunity to feature everybody, but it raises my demand. It keeps me wanting more. Of course, obviously the incentive here is to get people to watch SmackDown, which for people like myself, it's just not going to happen. I'll watch a clip, which I do on YouTube, but that's not going to happen. Is that incentive to you? Say, Ryan, this is what it seems like they're going to do. He's going to be Thursday night Brino. Is that going to get you to watch SmackDown? Because I know it was about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, that you said that maybe you'll check it out if they, give SmackDown more of a focus. But what do you think?
See, I want it to be more like NXT style. If it's Daniel Bryan's pretty much only always on SmackDown, that will be disappointing. Will I be more inclined to kind of put SmackDown on in the background sometimes? Yes, definitely. But I think they should do it more like you hold off on a couple of key guys and leave them for SmackDown that week, but you shuffle it up, you mix it up. So this week we didn't see those 3 guys. Next week, maybe we don't see, a couple of other different guys.
Exactly. Like last week, Bray Wyatt wasn't on Raw. That seemed like a giant omission at the time. So not everybody needs to be on every show. And it helps keeps things fresh for a little longer. That was really hard to say.
You got through it. Now, 3 quick topics before we split the show in half. So, are you guys ready?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Number 1, Bray Wyatt. We just brought him up. Was talking about fear. Was talking about somebody, but we don't exactly know what. What's your speculation on it?
Honestly, kind of felt like Roman Reigns, like the whole fear of failure thing, but I don't know, just Bray Wyatt just seems going back into that cycle. Let's say something real cryptic, have a match, probably lose it, on to the next cryptic one.
I guess I wasn't paying attention because I still thought he was talking about The Undertaker.
Yeah, that's what I actually sort of got.
He could be.
But I kind of got the Keith vibe, which is, all right, we respected that build-up for Mania because he wasn't there, but now it's just kind of like, all right, we kind of need something else. Other topic, Big Show versus Roman Reigns. This is something that, personally, I'm not a big fan of. Seems to be a thing now. What's your take, Keith?
It'll be a good match in the filler card. I think Seth Rollins is the more interesting story in this than Roman Reigns and the Big Show because they're not just throwing Reigns against Rollins right away. They might actually give Rollins some time with the belt, and that's pretty exciting.
I don't know if Big Show's the right choice if you want to get people to like Roman Reigns. I just don't think they really have chemistry. And it's really, the matches are just, they don't do it for me, and I really feel like you got to put Reigns in there with more quality opponents for more kind of fast-paced action. And
like Bray Wyatt.
Oh, but then you throw Bray Wyatt in there, and Bray Wyatt needs to win,
he
man.
Needs a break.
He needs to win. Like, this guy just I feel like he just loses any big match, and this would just be another one that Bray Wyatt would lose. So it's like, who do you put in there with him? It's probably going to be Bray Wyatt, but I really wish Wyatt would be able to win a match. Same with Dean Ambrose, but that's another story.
Last topic. Based on Raw's main event, we saw that officially at Extreme Rules, it's going to be Seth Rollins defending the championship against Randy Orton, who they had an awesome match at Mania. So personally, I'm really excited about it. What about you guys?
I think it's the best match at WrestleMania, so why not make it the best match at Extreme Rules? I think it'll be a great match and build Rollins up as a champion.
Yeah, I agree. As far as a straight-up wrestling match, that was definitely the best match on the card from WrestleMania. So it's going to be the best quality title match you can basically set up right now. So it's awesome. I think it's the right way to go. Orton finally gets his one-on-one title match that he's been waiting so long for, a whole year. And Rollins, gets to defend his championship. We get a title defense on a B pay-per-view. So, it's
we
weird
have a
to have
champion
that
at a
again.
B pay-per-view
So
now.
that's a thing.
Yeah, awesome things happening. So obviously, as always, we're going to be checking out what's going to be happening with this. With the Roman Reigns thing, I just want to say a quick thing. It seems like maybe they're going for a different demographic because I can see maybe the 5 to 12-year-olds thinking like, oh, big, huge guy taken up by Roman Reigns. All right, I love him. I don't think we're necessarily his demographic, but maybe we aren't. Maybe we just aren't. So, kind of weird. But you know what? Let's bring it up with positive things with this week's. Do you have an intro thing?
S.C.A.F, because there's no stinger yet. Yep, you can blame me for that because I'm a lazy
Everybody
SOB.
get ready to get a S.C.A.F infection.
S.C.A.F. Oh, yeah. It's the S.C.A.F. S.C.A.F.
It's the S.C.A.F,
Next
man.
time I see you, next time I see you guys, I will challenge you to a S.C.A.F. Old match. All right. This week's S.C.A.F. is a thread from the good old squared circle because in case you didn't hear last week, what this S.C.A.F., this magical creature is the squared circle awesomeness feature, the S.C.A.F. It can be a thread, it can be a post, just something we love from r/squared circle. In this week's case, it's a post. It is a post from the user that goes by the name Nature Boy Ric Flair. You know him, you love him. Woo! Now, the topic of this post really goes into a angle of the whole Triple H versus Sting match that I never really thought of up until now. And with this kind of like information, I don't think it was a bad match. Just follow the bouncing ball here for a second. All right. The thread name is Sting versus Triple H was a perfect homage to WCW. Why, you ask? Well, because there was an NWO run-in, which was every single Nitro main event. You had a nonsensical finish involving a weapon to make the loser look strong, aka Goldberg getting tased at Starrcade 98. You had a massive build. Sting doesn't get a clean win against a guy perceived to be very egotistical, aka Sting versus Hogan at Starrcade 97. You've got Hogan, Nash, and Hall doing very little to get a big payday, aka every Monday Nitro. You've got a Terminator movie tie-in and a celebrity appearance by Schwarzenegger, aka RoboCop and Dennis Rodman / Jay Leno.
Wait. How do we get... Sure, go on.
All right. We have, at the moment, a fan perception that a major talent is not fully utilized, aka Bret Hart and all of his WCW reign. You have a rehash of long dead factions and angles, aka the NWO and DX, and WCW reforming the NWO every roughly 6 weeks nearing the end. An ending to a match that makes no sense at all in the context of match, characters, or feud, which would happen between Sting and the NWO. And that's basically summed up to everything Vince Russo ever booked. You have sworn enemies, the NWO and Sting, helping each other for no explained reason, the finger poke of doom. You have the longest match of the night going to 2 old guys instead of 2 young rising talent, aka all of WCW, the entire timeline. You had guys perceived to be way too old to wrestle put on a great match, aka the effing DDP rule. And quite frankly, the wrong guy won, aka Rhodes versus Flair at Starrcade 84. And that has been this week's S.C.A.F.
I just didn't like the match, so... There was that.
Well, I did.
Hey, through that lens, it makes a lot of sense.
And I appreciate
it's a very good homage to WCW.
Interesting. So thank you, Keith, for that awesome scat. By the way, check it out. This week, new video going up at youtube.com/Byte That Cast. We're going to be talking about top indie stars going into NXT. So, of course, we're talking Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, who's been there for a while, Finn Balor, who just got there, Hideo Itami, etc. What does that mean for the guys like, CJ Parker left, for example, and there's obviously speculation about why, even though so many people talk great about him. And also remember to check out, we have an Instagram, because we like to take pictures, PG-looking pictures, wrestling-related stuff. You can check out what I listen to, mostly wrestling-related during the day. Like right now on Spotify, by the way, Spotify users, WWE uploaded pretty much all their stuff from iTunes on Spotify. So NXT themes, everything, even as current as Kevin Owens and Finn Balor. So if you have Spotify, it's awesome. Check it out.
Or if you're someone that bought those on iTunes like myself, you're pissed.
But you know what? On the positive side, you can stream them or download them, and only cost $10 a month. And then the last quick thing, check out Fight Night. Go to the channel. I know I talk about it a lot, but I really do think Fight Night is something that's really entertaining, very fun. We play on WWE 2K14 storylines, commentary. It's a little bit of everything. So if you like the ridiculous part of wrestling, if you like the Shakara of Byte That, I know that sounds kind of crazy, do yourself a favor, check out Fight Night and send us a tweet at Byte That Cast, sort of letting us know, what's your take on it. Now, some news that broke out just before the podcast started, so I added it to the agenda just a couple of minutes ago. SmackDown is apparently going to be moving to the USA Network in 2016. It's currently on Sci-Fi in the US, so maybe for people outside of the US, this isn't a big deal, but this could potentially change how everything is, because think about the fact that both Raw and SmackDown will be on the same channel. So obviously they can better promote the shows. But it's going to be in the same channel. So in many ways, this can change something. What do you guys think?
It's not as good as when SmackDown was on network TV with UPN/CW, but this is definitely a step in the right direction. Sci-Fi always just felt like such an odd fit, and it was just because like they had nowhere else to put it. So it's definitely better. And like you said, you can now do commercials during Raw that are easily just, on USA, SmackDown this Thursday. It's a little bit easier to kind of carry your audience over.
Yeah, I mean, now it's potentially on a network or a channel that it makes sense to be on. So you don't have the wrestling show followed by Attack of the Killer Piranhas from Connecticut or something like that. But I don't know, maybe it's a great thing for SmackDown because doesn't USA have some say into like what happens on WWE? Like those old reports of, we want more McMahons on the show because the ratings are like sinking. So maybe they step the SmackDown game up in that regard. We can have
Attack of the Piranhas from Greenwich, Connecticut.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, apparently they do have some pull. Obviously, it's part of the same family, so it's not like it's a huge change structurally. But like the next topic, it definitely makes it seem more legitimate. It can be more cross-promotion friendly. Like at WrestleMania, we had Ronda Rousey. Obviously, that broke headlines everywhere, and now there are some rumors that Stephanie McMahon or the WWE are interested in seeing a match between Stephanie and Ronda at WrestleMania next year. So obviously, this is something that helps because it may not seem like much, but at the end of the day, the U.S. product is what ends up happening elsewhere. So, I don't know. It seems like a weird thing, but what do you guys think?
The Ronda Rousey thing, we didn't really touch on this last week, and the more I thought about it, the more I thought that, first of all, it's kind of sad that if Rousey's going to face anyone, it's going to be Stephanie, because I feel like no diva's actually been built up enough for it to make sense. Like, everyone would want to see Stephanie
but AJ
get beat up.
No, never mind.
Yeah. But second, I kind of felt like Rousey is like the Mike Tyson of this generation in the way that she looks the part. It feels right that she's involved in it. It's not like Jay Leno, giving Hulk Hogan a wrist lock. Like, this feels legitimate. Like, she feels like she belongs, and she's, has mainstream popularity. She's a household name. So it's like the perfect stunt for WWE to do, is to do something like this, because she's a fan, so she's more likely willing to do it. So it's really like, exactly like I said, this generation's Mike Tyson to kind of get that buzz.
While I agree, I do think that Stephanie's a great opponent for her. Because
I do too. I was just saying it's kind of sad that there's no diva that is kind of like the equivalent.
Like, no matter who it is, it could be any wrestler ever. If they go into the ring with Rousey, she's so tough that no matter who it is, it's going to be a slaughter. Like, that person doesn't stand a chance.
It's better that it
keeping the
happens
divas away from her, like, it's almost
non-wrestler.
better to keep them away. So just let Stephanie be that cow led to the slaughter, instead of a legitimate diva.
I think it depends if it's a one-time thing. Yeah. But I think it depends if it's a one-time thing or they want to build something out of it. Because if it's a one-time thing, yeah, it makes sense. Stephanie's not an active member of the roster, so, it gets the publicity and all that out of the way. But if your goal is to sort of build something from it, like to give divas a chance and all that stuff, maybe bring in somebody like Paige. Paige has been wrestling since she's like 14. She can bring up her family and all that stuff. A lot of
you
personal
just don't
stuff.
want UFC to look better than WWE, as far as competitors. That's what you got to watch out for.
Yeah.
See, with this news, I was kind of sad at the same time, because I was kind of hoping it would lead to a tag team match of The Authority versus The Rock and Rousey.
It could
that'd
still
be a pretty
happen.
cool match.
It's not off the table.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, this is sort of a rumor, although it makes sense. Ronda Rousey was at WrestleMania. Her pictures, Vegeta is still all over the place. DBZ is relevant once again. I'm very happy about that. Check out Abridged. And let's see what really comes out of this. Now, let's get to the nitty-gritty. There was a lot of speculation about how this was going to play out. I'm talking about the podcast with John Cena. Not Stone Cold podcast. Now we got the Chris Jericho podcast on the network. A lot of speculation as to why the change happened. Stone Cold was apparently going to talk about something in his podcast this week. I don't know if it was about the retirement.
He commented on why he wasn't doing the podcast.
Yeah. Could you tell me? Because I was refreshing and then just the podcast didn't come up. So what did he say?
I read a quote. He basically said no heat or anything. They just didn't come to a deal, so WWE went with Jericho instead. So no big story there.
Okay, so obviously I don't want to give away too much because maybe not everybody stuck around after Raw to listen to it. But there was a lot of speculation that people just weren't going to enjoy it. So I want to get your reaction of, number one, if you enjoyed the interview, and two, if you got anything away from it that you didn't already have in some other form. Because Stone Cold has already interviewed John Cena in his show, for example. So, yeah.
What I got away from it, I knew it wasn't going to be like Austin's. Jericho didn't ask really many hard-hitting questions, but it was still very enjoyable to just kind of see Cena out of character, kind of just telling road stories, learning a few things. It kind of confirmed what we thought about the whole Cena heel turn situation, which is talked about forever, is that basically he said, he's totally willing to do it, but until there's someone, until the kids are asking to see someone else, Cena has to stay that guy.
And the point that he brought up, you guys will boo me anyway, so what's the point? It was kind of brilliant.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it because there was a huge backlash on social media during it. Personally, I do got to criticize the fact that Jericho was very loose. At one point he asked who from NXT he liked or something like that. But basically, to identify specific people. But John Cena started just talking about random things, and Jericho never followed up. He never took that back. So that got annoying because it almost seemed like it was two people talking, and John Cena could just basically say whatever he wanted. So that was kind of weird. I would prefer it was more of a conversation rather than an interview. But as you guys mentioned, I enjoyed it. He talked about the heel turn. He talked about simple road stories like traveling with Funaki, crazy things that make you appreciate. Because one thing that I do, without bringing up too much, is the whole thing where Vince McMahon talked about the brass ring, and then people are saying, "Oh yeah, it's easy for him to say." People to just do something and then say sorry later. But John Cena basically, justified. He did a lot of that. Everything from the Dr. Thugonomics character. He had every reason to sort of be fired or not be the guy based on everything he brings up. So definitely check it out. So is there anything about that in particular that really made you change what you thought before?
I mean, it just kind of justified Cena's whole standpoint. Even with back in the day when he was on Jericho's podcast, and he was saying he really appreciates those guys that stand out and try to differentiate themselves. Now it's not always worked out in some cases, but he helped to justify why he looks out for those people.
Yeah, he was kind of just reaffirming a lot of speculation and kind of things that Vince had said. But he was fun and entertaining. There wasn't as much groundbreaking information as the Vince McMahon thing, but I didn't expect it to be. And, like you said, Jericho's just kind of more relaxed. He's not going to press a lot of issues, but it doesn't mean that you can't still have fun and enjoy them.
And with Jericho being relaxed, I have a bone to pick with Mr. Jericho. You, sir, have lost your Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada card when you did not correct Mr. John Cena about the colors of our home freaking team. He's like, the whole Winnipeg Jets line thing? The Winnipeg Jets colors are not blue and orange. Damn it, they are blue and white. And Mr. Jericho, you should have corrected that.
This is the one time Keith has ever given a damn about sports.
Yes, it's true.
Wow. So we got something out of it.
I needed to get that off my chest. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, but the quick thing about it. Does this make you care about future interviews? Because we got Triple H, we got Vince, we got Cena. So just quick yes or no.
Yeah, I mean, they're still good. They're still out of character. And let's get The Undertaker. That would be awesome.
I would pay all of the money for a Steve Austin Undertaker.
Oh, man.
Like I've said before, my favorite thing about all of this wrestling podcast is just two wrestlers shooting the breeze, talking about road stories. I love listening to it. I could listen to it for days and days and days.
So before we go to the listener questions, we actually want to bring up a piece to get some feedback. You know, we are looking to grow our channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. We post the podcast there. We have a weekend discussion video. We post the square roundtables, the fight nights. But even here in the audio format, we're looking at other things to do. So one thing we're contemplating doing, but not confirming yet, is maybe doing some pay-per-view commentary, because obviously there's the network. So maybe you can watch it with us. You know, we can shoot the breeze, maybe a combination of any of the three of us, just watching a WWE, WCW, or ECW pay-per-view. We post it maybe on a separate podcast feed, so you can download it on MP3. You listen to it on your phone or even on your TV or something and get that experience. So, yeah, if you're interested,
it's more
in
like
that,
a director's commentary than
exactly.
Like we're not trying to be Michael Cole and JBL.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying. We're not gonna replace JR at WrestleMania 17. We're simply gonna talk as fans. We're gonna hit the record button, and whatever happens, happens. We're not gonna force our way into saying something funny if it's not. You know, we're not gonna be somebody that we're not. It's simply us recording, posting, and then, you know, we keep the community growing. So, do you guys like that idea? I'm taking it to you guys, you know, just directly, Ryan and Keith.
It will be
growing is
It'll
good.
be a fun experiment
that we will enjoy doing, because growing is great.
I can say something there, but I won't. So basically, send us a tweet if you think that this is a good idea, if this is a terrible idea, if it makes you cry, or Facebook, or, you know how to get us. So,
and if there's any pay-per-views or something specific you'd think we should watch, let us know.
Exactly. It's part of the experience. We passed 1,600 subscribers on YouTube. We're averaging over 1,500 listeners a week here, and it's thanks to everybody here. So instead of doing behind-the-scenes stuff, talking amongst ourselves, we figured take it to an open forum, get the discussion going, and then we may or may not do it based on your feedback. So, having said that, Mr. Poshik, take it away with the questions.
Yes. All right, we've got 2 questions this week, both coming from the Twitter math machine. All right, question number 1 comes from Mr. Brelo Light on Twitter, and he asks, who is your favorite wrestler who wasn't usually popular by most fans or never really got a push? Who's your favorite underrated guy?
My answer is easy, Mark Jindrak. I was a huge fan of him all the way from WCW. When he had different tag team pairings. In WWE, he had a singles run. He had a run with Garrison Cade. He had the Reflection of Perfection, a lot of stuff. He was supposed to be an evolution. So this is a guy that a lot of people really saw potential. I always liked his look, his wrestling ability, but he never really got anywhere, and it kind of sucks. But that's my pick.
My person is someone that's on the current roster right now, because it just breaks my heart how he just isn't used properly, and that is Bo Dallas. I was the largest mark on the planet for him back in NXT. I thought if they took Bo Dallas NXT and put him in the WWE, he would be the most over heel possible. Like, he's the most hateable person ever. But they didn't bring that that Bo Dallas to the WWE roster. They left it in NXT, and it's kind of tragic. Really?
I'll second Bo Dallas, just get that out of the way, because I completely agree. And I think his whole thing was working, too, and they just kind of abandoned it for no reason.
So good.
A couple other examples I have. One that's kind of like, it's like, it almost doesn't really count, but Corey Graves was a guy who I was really enjoying before, like, he was cut
and
short.
You hated him at the beginning, yeah.
I hated him at first, but then, like, he really kind of found himself and was, like, killing it. And then, unfortunately, he had to retire because of concussions. And then my other answer is the guy I think you guys will all agree with, Rob Conway.
Yeah,
this is a guy who had an awesome theme. This dude had the look and everything, and
just look at him.
Exactly.
He was a sight to see.
They didn't go with him, and it's a shame, because Randy Newman impersonator made an amazing theme for him.
Because the whole damn world wants to look like thee.
But they don't.
Also,
All right.
Kerwin White, just because.
Quick little story. This is an amazing story that only me and Juan, it was a moment and Juan shared that was magical. So years and years and years after the Kerwin White gimmick passed, RIP 7 years ago, we were at WrestleMania 28 together, and we thought, wouldn't it be funny if Michael Cole came out to Kerwin White's theme? And sure enough, he did. And that was probably one of our biggest markout moments of the night. In a moment filled with Kerwin White's theme made us flip our lid. Yeah, that's the first time I realized it.
Even during the week, we watched, for whatever reason, Kerwin White's Titantron and listened to his theme while on a car ride. So it became a running joke. And then when that played out, we were just marking out so hard. And there were a couple of people just looking at us like, why? Jesus, you love Michael Cole.
It's just Michael Cole.
No, that was a pleasant surprise when I hadn't been watching wrestling for a couple of years, and then I went to a Raw, and when I heard that, I was like, "Oh my God, that's amazing! They gave him that theme."
All right, but so thank you, Mr. Brelo Light, for the question and the minor trip down memory lane. Memory lane. All right, now are you guys ready for this? Because this next question comes from Mr. J4 Gaming. Yeah, it's good. It's a barn burner this week. And he asks, tell the story of Sheamus's new hair. Here's the challenge. Everyone has to say one sentence, and another person has to continue. Every sentence must rhyme.
Oh my God. What? Well, can we do alternating sentences rhyme, like a poem? I don't know.
Yeah, we can totally poem this. All right, I will start.
Are we going Keith, me, Juan?
Let's go me, Ryan, Juan. All right. Oh, wee Sheamus went for a cut.
On a nice sunny day.
The lobster went far away.
It was supposed to rhyme.
It kind of rhymed.
You're supposed to rhyme with cut.
Oh, well.
It's every other.
Oh, but I don't know.
All right, now everything rhymes. This is way too complicated.
I'm modifying it. The lobster went far away.
But the limes were there to stay.
But then we're going to be stuck. You see what happens? We're going to be stuck rhyming with day for the rest of the thing. That's why you alternate.
All right, we're changing this up. We're going to tell the story of Sheamus's haircut. No rhyme.
Right,
however it works.
First sentence.
This is way too much coordination, so let's go.
All right, I'm starting again. Oh, wee Sheamus went for a cut.
On a nice sunny day.
Sonny went to say, what's up?
And Sheamus replied, oi, lady fella, not too much, you know.
Suddenly, a wild Psyduck appeared.
And Sheamus kicked him in the face.
The barber was like, oh, why'd you kick my Psyduck?
And then he kicked the barber in the face.
The scissors went flying in the air.
And damn near cut off all of Sheamus's hair. All right, thank you, Mr. J4 Gaming, for your question. It was another doozy.
Yes, sir. We just keep getting words with these rhymes. We cannot do it, but I'll miss the Too Many Limes theme, but I love this Sheamus one. But yeah, thanks to everybody for checking out the show, listening every single week, and for everything else, you know the deal. So, Mr. McNulty, take it away.
All right, well, we want to thank everyone for listening once again to the Byte That podcast. It's time to plug some stuff. So let's go with the YouTube channel. You know what it is, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. Hit that subscribe button. We just passed 1,600. Help us get 1,600 more. Don't forget our Twitter is @ByteThatCast and Facebook, facebook.com/ByteThatCast. We're on Instagram. That's a thing. We got non-wrestling stuff. We got wrestling stuff. So search Byte That to find us on Instagram. And hey, Fight Night. It's a thing. You should watch it on the YouTube channel. If you want to be a part of it, maybe. If you get the PlayStation 3 version of WWE 2K14, we're going to be very specific here. If you have the PlayStation 3 version of WWE 2K14 and you can upload a superstar, contact us, send us an email, send us a tweet, a direct message, whatever. We will work it out, and we will try and get your created superstar on Fight Night, and also give us feedback on whether or not you want to see us do, directors type commentary, even though we didn't direct anything in WWE, for a WWE pay-per-view. So once again, thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next week.